So we're going to find out now about a brand new book which is out now called The Rise of Terror by local author James Murphy, who joins me in the studio. Hi James.
Hi Robin.
So congratulations on the book. It must
Thank you.
feel great to get your debut novel out there and on the shelves.
It's fantastic to see it, and actually just to be able to hold it in your hands and look at the cover and so on, it's amazing. Great feeling.
So has it been a long time in the planning process?
Yes and no. I mean, certainly this is the second edition of the book. I initially self-published it. And thankfully it has been taken on since by Excalibur Press. So I suppose it's been 2 years in the making essentially. But before that I had really no inkling about wanting to be a writer, other than certainly in my very early years I wanted to maybe be a writer and possibly a journalist at one stage. Yeah. But fate intervened and I became a teacher instead. Right. And all ideas of writing kind of just lay dormant because obviously I wanted to develop my career and so on. So then I had a chance visit from a family friend who had been telling me a little bit about actually going to visit a relative, and the voice in my head was kind of saying, I thought that person had died. Right. But it turns out she was talking about a medium, right, essentially. So the conversation turned to mediumship and so on, and it was something I was interested in. So a few weeks later I found myself actually sitting facing a medium as I suppose a terror almost. Yeah. And certainly from that visit and subsequent visits I essentially got a message that this book was waiting to be written and get on with it.
Yeah. Now, it seems like a pretty complex story. It kind of takes you all over the place, doesn't it?
In a sense it does, although primarily it is based in West Belfast, essentially. There are elements within the book that take us as far away as Australia and New York and so on, because our main characters are a newly formed private investigations team trying to solve a number of murders. Essentially one very close to home, a very personal tragedy, but also our team find themselves hunting not one but two cult movements. Right. So those cult movements are quite far flung and take us to various parts of the world. Wow.
And of course it must be the first time there's been like a private investigator novel set in West Belfast, with people from West Belfast.
No, I think there are quite a few. Since writing the novel, I've kind of got to know quite a few local writers. Yeah. And
Stuart Neville's books, I mean, obviously are set around Belfast and are amazing, you know.
Yeah, but yeah. Absolutely. And at the time, I was actually very unaware that there were any other writers. I mean, I didn't think I was blazing any great trail by any means. But as a new writer, I just thought, well, write about what you know. That's what people tell you to do. So. And I found it quite easy doing it that way. Right, yeah. Although part of me did feel very passionate about the idea that I wanted to have it set in Belfast because I'm proud of my city. Yeah. And I'm proud of its people, so it made sense.
So you're working on the next one at the minute. Is this going to be a big series?
It's a trilogy.
Right, okay.
That's what's in mind for it at the moment. However, the way I tend to work is that at this current moment in time, I have no idea what the last part of the book is going to be. Right, okay. I tend to write quite intuitively, and I tend to have the start point and end point in mind, right, of any story that I'm working on. And all the bits in between tend to, I would love to say write themselves, but that's not strictly true, obviously. I tend to listen to the characters, and as I say, write intuitively from them. So, you know, how would they react in any given situation? And that has worked really well for me. I mean, I know other writers are saying about, but you have to have your story arc and you have to have it all planned, you know, meticulously. Whereas other people are saying, no, that what you do works for me as well. Yeah. So the way I kind of consider it at the moment is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yes, yeah. The only downside of that is that I will frequently be awoken from my sleep at maybe 4 a.m. with a character's voice in my head saying, that scene you've written earlier on, I wouldn't have reacted like that. This is the way I would have reacted. This sounds weird, I know. I do keep a notebook and I would very quickly write it down, and then of course it's back in the next evening to put right what I apparently did wrong.
So you've done it, you've got the book out now, and I suppose there's people watching this going, you know, I'd love to do that as well. What would be the little piece of advice you would give them about getting started on their career as a writer?
I suppose a couple of things would be, don't be afraid, start writing, and don't be afraid to let other people see it.